What is up, guys? It is Pudding here. I just wanted to bring you guys a quick video of a game of a top 8 redo tournament, or just a small 8-person redo tournament we had at my friend's house. So on the left we're going to have Shinny, who is on Chaos Dragons, and on the right is Gabe on Dino-Rabbit. Now, before I really start commentating, my friends are newer to redo. Please be nice. Everybody is still learning the format. Misplays are going to happen. And yeah, just please don't be rude, be considerate. But yeah, Gabe wins the die roll. He's going to start by setting 3 in a monster, and then he's going to pass to Shinny, who just sets 1. And it looks like the monster that Gabe set was a Night Assailant, so that's going to take out the Raikou. And Gabe is actually just going to set 1 more and pass. And looks like Shiny is just going to pass straight back to him. So if I were playing against Chaos Dragons and they pass straight back to me with 6 cards in hand, I'd be thinking Gores or Drag. Gabe is just going to normal summon a Guaiba, and he's going to swing with both the Night Assailant and the Guaiba. That can be pretty risky if they have a Gores or a Drag and you don't have an answer to it, and Shiny does have the Drag. So the Drag is, or sorry, the Gores. So the Gores is going to come out and special the token, and I don't think it looks like Gabe actually has a response to that. And the problem with the Gores being out is the fact that even with a Lance, that Gores is still punching over your Guaiba, right? Gores is a massive problem for Dino-Rabbit or any of the rank 4 decks, because none of the standard rank 4s, aside from Fairy King Alverditch, which is exclusive to the Earth decks, clear it. So we're going to see Shiny declare an attack with the Gores here. And yeah, looks like that goes through. No response from Gabe. So I'm not sure what his back row is. Doesn't look like there's a D prison. That definitely would have been used. Doesn't look like there is a Mirror Force. Could be some Torrentials, Bottomlesses, maybe some Lances back there. So Gabe's going to think a bit, shuffles hand, and let's see how he deals with the scores. He actually just Dark Holds the field. And that is a very good trade for Shiny, very favorable. But that's probably one of the only reasons, or one of the only ways you're going to get rid of that Gores if you're a Dino-Rabbit player there. So we're going to see Shiny banish 2 for Dark Flare. I think it's pretty safe to read that Gabe has like either a Bottomless or a... Oh, okay, so he's going to actually book a Moonet. Which is pretty telling to what's in his back row. We're going to see an end-phase MST from Gabe hitting the Call the Haunted that Shiny had just set. That wasn't going to be doing much. There were literally 0 cards in his graveyard. I think here they were just verifying the defense of Dark Flare, which I believe is 1700. So it's pretty big. Jumps even the Guaiba. But if you're Gabe, you're going to have to deal with this somehow. And we're actually going to see him use a Starlight Road on his own Heavy Storm just to be able to punch with this. As I said, that Book of Moon would be really bad if you can't find a way to deal with that Dark Flare Dragon. He's going to pass to Shiny. Shiny draws a charge. That's huge. I can see a recharge in his hand. Those are not good mills. I've seen a lure, a return, and another recharge. But this has already done what it needs to do, right? You're going to add that Raikou, you're going to be able to discard it off of the Solar Recharge in your hand, and you're going to have a light and a dark. So the cards in his hand are going to be live. So we're going to see a draw. It looks like Tour Guide and Lila. And mill, I think, either a Dark Flare and a Veiler or a Trag and a Veiler get milled there. And looks like Shiny's going to lead with Lila into the back row. Lila is so damn good because it pretty much forces a response from your opponent. And Gabe's actually going to let that go through, so probably not a Bottomless in the back row. Not a warning. We're going to see Shiny's actually going to hit Torrential, which is pretty huge. And we're going to see Shiny banishing 2 for a copy of Light Pulsar. And this would be big. I think he still has a Dark Flare in there, so he's going to try and crash and get a free Dark Flare and just continue to attack. A D Prison would be huge right now, but I think that would have already been used on the Gores, so yeah, it's a Lance. That's still not bad, because Shiny's going to get out that Dark Flare, but Gabe's going to be able to run that over next turn with the Stardust Dragon. So we do know that Shiny has a lot of acceleration in his hand for the next turn. I see a Light Pulsar there. I see another Dark Flare. I see a Tour Guide. The problem is you can't really deal with the Stardust this turn, because the only thing that can really offer spot removal would be to make a rank 5, go for like an Adrius. The only problem is that Adrius would just be negated by Stardust, and then you'd lose 2 cards for 1. So I think it's best to just wait, try and crash your Light Pulsar again, maybe next turn, or just go to a rank 3 with the Tour Guide, look at Giga Brilliant if you still have something, and then punch over the Stardust that way. It looks like Gabe has not drawn a monster again. Something like a Guaiba into this game state would be massive. Doesn't look like that is the case, though. Shiny's going to look at his grave, draw for turn. Looks like he drew a recharge. So we see Reborn, Pulsar, recharge, and I'm not sure what the last... a Dark Flare. Dark Flare. Shiny's going to summon the Tour Guide. That's going to get max seed. So probably just going to Sangan here and pass, unless he wants to give Gabe a few more cards. And I don't even think it's bad. Like, some people just stop. They don't want to give their opponent a +1 with the max C. If the attack goes through and you remove the Stardust, though, you are just getting a +1 in that way. So sometimes giving your opponent that extra card isn't the worst thing. We're going to see a pass back. Because, like, here he would be in a very bad situation if Gabe top decks something like a Rescue Rabbit, because we know there's no Veiler in that hand. Does not look like Gabe got into a rabbit or even a monster. So he attacks the Tour Guide, and we're going to see Shiny draw a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, which is pretty big. Pretty huge here. Very good extension, and very hard for Dino-Rabbit to clear because of its stat line. Pretty much need a trap. We're going to see Light Pulsar Dragon come out here. And does not look like there is a response from Gabe. So let's see what Shiny decides to do. I personally think if you summon that Light Pulsar and you're not getting a response, you're probably safe. Okay, never mind. Gabe actually does have a warning for that. So that will be the end of the Pulsar. And he is actually just going to reborn the Pulsar back. That's going to come out here. And waiting on a response. I don't think we're going to get one here. Looks like he's going to battle phase. Checking his grave. He does still have a Dark Flare in there, I think. Or maybe he banished it, actually. We're going to see another Lance in the damage step. And does it look like Shiny has any follow-up here? I think you're pretty safe. You know there's not a bottomless. I would honestly just banish the RMD at this point. Or sorry, the Dark Flare, and establish the red metal. Bring back your Light Pulsar, get your loop going. And it looks like that is the case. So there comes the Red Eyes. Because, like, even if you run into a Torrential here, you're still getting your Sangan Search. And that's not awful. We also know that he has... actually, no, I think he just has... if he has a Light or Dark in hand, he can summon the Light Pulsar back after a Torrential. Gabe's going to draw. He's had really low monsters this game. We haven't seen a single copy of any of the vanillas. We haven't seen a Tour Guide. We haven't seen a Rescue Rabbit. We've just seen Guaiba and Night Assailant. So the fact that he's made it this far is pretty impressive. Also, I don't think we've seen Bottomless or Deep Riz. Gabe's just going to pass to Shiny. And that's actually one of the problems with the Dino-Rabbit deck, in my opinion. It obviously can go off, but 2 Rabbit, 2 Tour Guide really hurt your consistency. And sometimes you either see like just your vanillas, which is really awful, or you see just your traps and no meaningful monsters. But that's honestly a complaint you can make about most decks. You need to see a mix of everything. Oh, we're going to see Gabe TT the board. And looks like Shinny is going to search here at a Raikou. And that was Chain Link 1, I think. So that Light Pulsar should be getting its effect. It looks like Shinny forgot about Light Pulsar. So again, people are newer to the format. Please be nice. Shiny's going to mill an Eclipse, and don't know what the card behind the Eclipse was. But we know Red Met is gone, so the only target left for that would be a Dark Armed. Shiny tries to go for a Light Pulsar, but I remind him that it is level 7 or higher, so you cannot Light Pulsar off of Eclipse. And the reason he didn't banish the Dark Armed is because he had Dark Armed in hand with exactly 3 Darks, and that's going to get banished by a Bottomless. So, having drawn the Bottomless, Gabe actually did have a chance to Torrential there and make the Light Pulsar mistiming. Probably would have been dead either way because the Dark Armed was coming, but if you just Chainlink 1 Bottomless, Chainlink 2 TT, you can get rid of that entire board and make the Light Pulsar mistiming. So we're going to see Shiny just drop a Dark Flare here and swing. And his hand a Trooper, and I think a Recharge. We're going to see Gabe draw for turn. He's excited. He draws a monster. He drew a Guai, but that's why he's excited. So he finally, and he gets to resolve the effect cleanly. See his little happy dance that he's doing there. And he's going to get another Guaiba out. Shiny's going to draw off of Card Trooper. And here, I think the only thing you can really do is either make like Utopia, make a Pearl, and pass. Then you have to hope your opponent doesn't have BLS or your opponent doesn't have Sork. Because those are really the only 2 spot removal cards that Chaos Dragons play that they would have access to here. Looks like Gabe is going to think for a while. And just overlay for a Pearl. And Shiny's just going to reveal Chaos Orc, and that is the end of game 1. That goes to Shiny with Chaos Dragons. So, not a very good hand from Rabbit, but that game was actually fairly back and forth and competitive. And if Shiny had not drawn the Sork off the top, that probably becomes a close game. And, okay, it looks like we're going to look at Shiny's hand. I see a Sangan, a Tour Guide, Raikou, Dark Armed Dragon, and MST. We're going to see Gabe set 2 Spell and Trap and a Monster and Pass. Oh no, there's a Decree for Shiny. Let's hope that that can be outed by Gabe somehow. But I know a lot of people will side out the MST against Chaos Dragons. You probably want to keep like 1 to 2 MSTs in and take the Storm out. We're going to see Guaiba summoned. Pretty much all the stuff that Chaos Dragon sets, other than Sangan, will kill the Guaiba, but Guaiba still triggers, so it is just a better sure in that case. And we're going to see Gabe activate Macrocosmos in response to the attack declaration. That's huge. If it's a Raikou, they pretty much have to take out the Macro instead of the Guaiba. But we're actually going to see Decree, just straight up being chained to that. And if Gabe does not have an MST, this is rough. And there is no MST. So we're going to see Raikou, and Raikou is going to mill a Tragodia and 2 other lights. So there's a Light and a Dark live in the graveyard. If that set monster is not something you can flip up to make like a Dolka, you are in deep trouble. And it does not look like it is. So either Night Assailant, or could be Night Assailant, could be Sangan. Could be quite a few things if you're not flipping it up right away. But this looks like a pretty rough spot for Gabe, especially because we know the fact that David has Tour Guide, he milled a Dark, and there's a Dark Armed in hand. So this is looking pretty rough. We're going to see Tour Guide being summoned. using its effect. Getting another tour guide. We did see that Sangan in hand, so that is the best thing to get. Obviously, you keep it in your deck if you have 2 targets left. But in this case, if he brought out the Knight of Salient, that would mean the next tour guide draw would be completely dead. You could not use that tour guide. So getting tour guide for tour guide is the best option. And we're going to see him make Acid Golem and punch into Guaiba. Guaiba goes to the grave. I think that was just made in case there was a Lance. Because otherwise you could chain it and you could crash the Leviathan and then the Guaiba would trigger. So, smart move, and Chaos Dragons is one of the only decks that does not care about Acid Golem's restrictions as much, because you can just tribute your Acid Golem for any of your Chaos Dragon monsters and remove its claws, which is, while it's on the field, you can special summon, and while it has no material, you can attack. So, that can be a problem for a lot of decks. Chaos Dragons do not suffer from that. But like Wind-Ups, if you do not have a compulse for your own Acid Golem, they can use it to kill you, because you take 2,000 damage, or you detach during your standby phase. But we're just going to see him tribute it for Dark Flare. And there comes the Dark Arm Dragon. Dark Arm Dragon with Decree is a pretty rough look for Gabe. See him banish, pop one of the back row. Compulse is gone. We're going to see him banish again, take out the Sangan. Sangan's going to search. And this is looking incredibly rough for Gabe. Don't see how he gets out of this. Decree can just be a massive blowout, especially when you see slower hands where there's no Lagi or Dolka. Then we're going to see Shinny banish a Light in the Dark for Light Pulsar. And I believe that is just going to be game with the attack over Guaiba. So, Gabe is going to try and search Tour Guide, but I think this should be a concede. Yeah, looks like that's the end of the match. Thanks for watching, guys.